Hello, I'm Buddy Pennington, pastor of Westfield Assembly of God in Holmes County, Florida, and welcome to A Few Minutes with Esther. This first video is going to be setting up the stage for the entire book that will follow. We begin with the reign of a king in the Persian and Median empires who was known as Ahasuerus. Historians connect this king with the one they call Xerxes I. Now, Ahasuerus reigned from 484 BC to 465 BC, a period of about 21 years. During the third year of his reign, Ahasuerus, Xerxes, decided that he was going to have a great feast for all of the princes and nobles from the provinces that he reigned over. He reigned over 127 different provinces that stretched from India all the way to Ethiopia. Now, he had a winter palace in a place called Shushan, which is in a location that we would call today part of Iran, in the western part of that country. He held his feast there at Shushan. It was a really massive feast because it lasted for 180 days. We're talking about a 6-month-long party, folks. He had every kind of imaginable food that you could eat, plenty of wine to drink, and he just showed people just how great he was. Now, keep in mind that at this time in history, kings would often do this type of feasting in order to demonstrate to people just how powerful they were and just how much influence they had in their empire. Remember, he's reigning over 127 princes. At the conclusion of that 180-day feast, King Xerxes, also called Ahasuerus there in Esther, decided that he was going to have an additional feast. He was going to have a week-long feast for all the people who were part of the palace there at Shushan. He had feasted for 6 months with the different princes from his different provinces, and now he was going to feast for 7 days more with the people who were directly connected to his palace there at Shushan. Esther goes into the elaborate description of how there were hangings everywhere. There was rings set in marble that held up different colored curtains. It goes into the description of how beautiful the floor was with marble with different colors. How the couches, or the beds as they were called, that were used as the people lay around feasting, were made out of gold and silver. He held this great feast in one of the courtyards leading into the king's palace. This feast was such an extravagant affair that people would recognize just how powerful Ahasuerus was. Now, his queen at the time was a queen named Vashti. And Vashti also held a great feast for all of the ladies who were connected to the palace in her separate quarters, which made up the harem for King Ahasuerus. Now, this is the beginning of the book of Esther. So you have a great king, Xerxes or Ahasuerus, his queen Vashti. They are both having a feast for the people who are involved in the palace at Shushan. That is the beginning of the book of Esther. This sets the stage for the initial conflict that is going to develop because of something that happened during this 7-day feast. It's my prayer that you'll be able to join us as we continue with our study of the book of Esther. We will begin with verse number 10 and go down through verse 12 of chapter 1 as we take a look at what is the conflict that develops because of this feast. May God richly bless you until the next time, whenever we get together for A Few Minutes with Esther.